Hello everybody, Incon here. Today we're going to be talking about BRUISER builds, guys. For those of you that have seen them, we're talking about physical BRUISER builds. These are very popular builds right now in the meta. We're talking supports are running this when you're running assassin warrior supports, junglers, solo laners, all types of areas that you're going to be able to transition these items, these types of builds. So I wanted to give you guys an idea of what types of items you're looking to buy, what types of situations you're looking to buy them, so you know when to be buying them on your favorite gods. But before we get into this video, guys, this video is brought to you by Incon's 40,000 gem giveaway. We're giving away 40,000 gems here in the month of March, guys. It has started at the beginning of March and it'll end at the end of March. That will be 5 winners of 8,000 gems. If you want a chance to win those gems, make sure you enter the link down in the description, and I'll probably put it in the comments down as well. Thank you guys for being such an awesome community. Best of luck in the giveaway, and let's get into the builds. The number one item, guys, that you're going to want in all of your BRUISER builds is going to be Blackthorn Hammer. This is going to be an item that you get early, okay? So we're talking, you got yourself your starter item, and if you're in the solo lane, you might get a Warrior's Blessing, tier 1 going into Blackthorn. If you're a support, you've got to get your Guardian's Blessing, tier 2 Sprint. If you're in the jungle, you might get Assassin's Blessing, tier 1 Hammer. This is going to be your first/second item after boots. If you need to get your boots first, go ahead and get boots. Otherwise, this is always going to be a good item across all of the physical bruisers that can build it, all of the assassins, all of the warriors. You don't even have to think twice about it, guys. And the reason why is because of its stat efficiency right now in the game. 35 physical power, 450 health, 200 mana. Your passive, when you're over 25% mana, you get 10% cooldown, which is rad. And when you're below that, you gain 50 MP5. And you get it all for the low price of 2,000 gold. It is easily the most stat efficient item in the game right now. You should be including it in your builds, and you should be buying it very early because of how cheap it is to get nearly 500 health, which is absolutely absurd. So please, if you're out there, start to buy this item. Item number 2 that I just love in my BRUISER builds right now, guys, is Void Shield. Void Shield is going to give you all of the stats that you're looking for in a BRUISER build, and it's going to be basically your for the most part, your only pen item that you're getting on these much tankier builds. So you get a little bit of physical power, 20, you get 50 physical protections, 150 health, and you get 20 aura pen around your character, which basically means that everybody on your team that's physical is basically having plus 20 flat pen for all intents and purposes is the way to think about that. And it's 2,600 gold. So this item is a little bit more expensive. I wouldn't get it first. This is more of a third, fourth slot item right now, depending on what type of team comp you're going to go against. We'll talk about it at the end if you're against like a physical damage build or a physical heavy team or like a magical heavy team where you're kind of laying these items out. But this is an item that you should always be considering in your BRUISER builds. It's going to give you a little bit of that tankiness, a little bit of that power, and that 20 pen, especially if you can get this as like a third, fourth item, is absolutely crucial for increasing your damage output on those characters. Next up, guys, we've got 2 of my favorite magic defense items in the game right now. We've got Genji's Guard and Ansal. These are going to be a little bit different, but they're kind of accomplishing the same sort of role slot, so let's talk about it. First up, we got Genji's Guard, guys. Genji's Guard is going to be 2,200 gold, 150 health, 70 magical protections, MP5, and cooldown. And your passive is whenever you take magical damage from abilities, your cooldowns are reduced by 3 seconds. This is a great item on any god that you're running a BRUISER build on that has incredible abilities. Think Fenrir, where if you can get your jump back up, it's already on like a 5-second cooldown by the time you land it, and you get the passive reduction. You've got your Blackthorn Hammer. You get that Genji's Guard proc on top of that. You can basically jump and then jump immediately again, which is huge. Somebody like Guan Yu, who's got that built-in cooldown reduction on his kit, so you heal, it pops the Genjis, you get to heal your entire team again, or you get to dash again. Those are the kind of characters that I really love Genji's Guard on, who somebody that's already got kind of a low cooldown, so you can immediately spam an ability twice in a row. Genji's Guard is incredibly strong. Ancile, on the other hand, is going to be a little bit more aggressive. 40 physical power, 50 magical protections, 10% cooldown. And whenever you take magical damage with this item, you're instead going to silence enemies around you for 1 second. This is going to be the basically more aggressive version of Genji's Guard. You're still getting magical protections, cooldown, those kind of things. You get power here instead of HP. And instead of a more cooldown related passive, you're getting that aggressive passive. So this is super good against teams that are running multiple mages. We're talking they got a Chronos ADC and a Vulcan mid, something of that sort. Even like an Ao Kuang jungle, it can be very good against. And for the most part, all characters, because even physical characters have abilities, right? So just because it procs against a physical character doesn't mean it's useless. You proc this, you're standing by a Thor and you get hit by a magical ability, it's going to silence that Thor and now he can't hammer out, okay? So it's good in all situations. You're going to be getting this on your characters that you want to be diving more into the backline. I like this more on characters like Osiris, who are already going to be having like, you already have like a 2-second cooldown on your one, so if you minus 3 seconds off of it, you're kind of wasting it. So you run at somebody with Ancile, you're attacking them, they're trying to peel you off of their backline. You get the Ancile proc, now they can't use their getaway ability, so everybody lands another round of abilities before they can do it, or you force them to pop their beads. Very good. It's going to be more in the line of the aggressive backline divers is where I prefer this Ancile. Now, guys, for two of the most common situational items that you're going to see in Bruiser builds, these are not items that you need to be building every single game, but these are items that I want you to have in the back of your mind for when you're playing, depending on the team composition that you're going against. High to the Nemean line, for only 2,200 gold, you get 70 physical protections. The mana and MP5 we don't even care about. More importantly, we care about the passive. Reflects 25% of all basic attack damage back to the attacker as physical damage. This is going to be against your auto attack comp, guys. We're talking all of your ADCs. We're talking your Chronoses of the world. Anybody that's using basic attack damage to hurt you, you combine this with the Thorns, and they will absolutely delete themselves every single time you're going to be allowed to run at their backline. But you don't need to be building this against teams that are running a full ability-based compositions, right? It's not really going to help you against the Thor Vulcans of the world, okay? Auto attackers only, don't build it every game. Similarly, we got Pestilence over here. You're strictly building this against very, very heavy heal comps. Even if it's self-heals, I like this item. It takes away from self-heals. A lot of people forget that. So if Arachne pops her one, right? That is healing. It's not just your Hells and your Aphrodites of the world and your Sylvanas. Anybody that's built in sustained to their character, whether it be RDO trying to heal herself, that's going to be a great item for you if they've got those kinds of characters, because you're going to reduce their self-healing, which is great. Plus, of course, it's a very good item against heavy magical comps. Typically, characters like RDO, those people that have the sustain, you're looking to be magical damage, which means it's going to be kind of a double whammy for you in securing two problems at once. So now you're at the end of the game, and you're buying your, like, 5th slot item, or you're getting ready to sell your boots and buy your potion so you can have another item slot for your 6th item slot. These are two of my favorite items in the ultra late game for Bruiser builds. Our more aggressive item here is going to be Rune Forged Hammer, 55 power, which is so much power. You're going to see a lot of people buying this item, particularly hunters right now, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Bruiser builds. You get that 200 health, and enemies take 15% increased damage from you if they're affected by CC. This does not include knockbacks, blinds, or grabs. It should be noted that that means that if somebody else is CCing somebody on their team, you're still getting the bonus damage. You don't inherently have to be the person applying the CC to get the bonus damage from it. So I don't want you to be too afraid if maybe you can't proc this a ton, because as long as your team is proccing it a lot, then you're going to be in a good situation, especially in the ultra late game and team fights where you're going to be all together anyway. If you're more concerned about the defenses going into the late game, Spirit Robe is going to be your man. protections for physical and magical to cover all your bases. You get the CCR, the cooldown reduction, and the biggest part about Spirit Robe has always been the passive 15% damage mitigation for 3 seconds when hit with a hard CC, which means that you're going to be able to run at them. If you get CC'd, it's okay. You're going to take so much less damage. In fact, you might take so much less damage that they stop attacking you altogether, try to focus up on a different target, which means that you can just continually run at their backline. And if they do keep focusing you, that's also a win, because then your backline gets to safely poke them for free damage. So let's talk about what a build would look like altogether in a hypothetical situation. Hypothetical 1, you're playing Fenrir. Doesn't really matter what role you're in. You might have been support, you might have been jungle, you might have been solo, and you're going against a heavy physical damage comp guy. Heavy physical damage, and more importantly, heavy on the auto attack damage. So you're trying to figure out how to get tanky against auto attack damage and to be the most effective. So you go into your build, you start off your build, and you got your Talaria boots because you were like support or jungle, and you're trying to rotate around the map. Perfect. You move yourself right into Blackthorn Hammer because it is always good no matter what bruiser you're playing in all situations, because you got 450 health. It's perfect. It gave you some mana and some cooldown for your jumps. Super rad. Now you're trying to think about what item you get next to deal with these physical damage characters. So you're feeling pretty good, so you get yourself a Void Shield. Going to give you that physical defense. It's going to help out your team, get a little bit more physical pen for your boys and for yourself. And of course, you're going to get a little bit of power. Now, you're starting to get a little bit more into the mid-game, and so you really need to focus up on your tankiness and what the problems are. And they are really bursting your bubble with this auto attack damage. So you go right into Hide of the Nemean Lion, so now their auto attackers do not want to hit you anymore. Even when you're jumping on them, they're still trying to just kind of peel you and focus on somebody else. Now that you've gotten to that point in the game, they're not really a problem anymore. You get yourself a Genji's Guard because you still need a little bit of magical defense. But more importantly, you want the cooldown here, because now when their backline mage tries to throw a little bit of CC on you, Vulcan tries to knock you up. Now you're getting your cooldowns reduced so you can once again jump on their hunters, jump on their ADCs in order to be problematic. And you're kind of confused at the end. You don't really know what to build. So you get yourself a nice little Spirit Robe to round out your build at the end to make sure that everything is good. You're getting a lot of cooldown to make sure that you're getting a lot of action going. All perfect. And you try not to remain idle so jungle practice doesn't kick you out. This is a great build against a heavy physical auto attack comp that also gives you magical defenses here at the end to deal with whatever type of mage that they're running. For the most part, people aren't going to be running like 5 damage types. So if they're running heavy, they might be running like 3-4 physical characters, then maybe like only 1 mage, or maybe even like double guardian. So you still want to have those magical defenses, but make sure those magical defenses are working for you in all situations. So even if you get, let's say, CC'd by a Thor stun and then hammered, you're still going to get that mitigation, which is going to help you with physical damage, even though Spirit Robe gives you physical and magical protections. Hypothetical number 2, you're playing your Wukong solo and you are against a magical comp. I'm talking 4 magical characters and they are rocking some healing. You're against a magical character in that solo lane. They have got themselves a big old Aphrodite in the mid lane. They've got themselves an Arachne in the jungle who's going to be self-healing. And so you're concerned about their magical damage and their healing. So what are you going to do? You're going to start off your build. You're going to get whatever boots you like. You're going to get Warrior Tab Eye. You're feeling pretty confident over there in that solo lane, getting ready to go in. You worked yourself right into your Blackthorn Hammer because you were like, man, my Blackthorn Hammer is going to help me sustain so much mana over in this lane because your blue buff was getting stolen a little bit, but it's okay. You got plus 50 MP5 now, so you don't really got to worry about that even if your blue buff's being stolen. And now you got to get yourself into some defenses. So you get yourself into a pretty early game 3rd item, Pestilence. You know, that RDO in your lane was sustaining a lot off of her 3 when it was rooting you. She's getting a lot of heals. And, you know, the Arachne was coming over and you were a little bit worried about her coming over and healing because, you know, you were doing a lot of damage with your Warrior Tab Eye. So you're trying to fight back a little bit. You're Wukong. You got like 9 lives. You don't really care. So you get yourself a Pestilence to reduce that healing. Now you're feeling pretty good, and so you get ready to go into a little bit more damage because you're not dying to RDO anymore, right? RDO is not a problem. You got your Pestilence, you're all good. So you get something that's going to give you a little bit more cooldown to stack with your Blackthorn Hammer. Now you got 20% CDR as long as you're above 25% mana. You're going to get that additional physical power magical protections, and now you're just trading with RDO all day. She doesn't have a chance in that lane. You're bopping her, so she's having to back a little bit more often. You're pushing her tier 1 tower. Things are great. Now, you're getting into your 5th item, which means you've been pushed into the team fight stage now, and you are, in fact, concerned that they do have a physical damage character. Arachne has got, like, an Executioner online. You're like, okay, I need to make sure I've got a little bit of physical defense. So you get yourself a Void Shield so you can still be a little bit aggressive. You make sure you're not gonna be AFK in jungle practice, and then you go ahead and get your Void Shield online so you get your health, which is gonna help you with everything, your physical protections for the Arachne, and of course, it's gonna give your team that pen for the physical aura. Then you go back, you finish up with a Genji's Guard for more HP, more magical defenses, because once again, you're really concerned about that magical defense, and now all of a sudden you've got over 200 magical defenses, and all of these items, except for Ansile, are basically giving you health, and at the end of the game, if you need to get your speed potion, you get rid of your Warrior Tabi, and you can lock in a Spirit Robe, a Mantle of Discord, a Rune Forged Hammer, whatever exactly you're thinking is going to float your boat that game. Our last hypothetical, guys, you're playing Robin in the jungle, and you're against a pretty evenly split damage comp. And so you're the jungler, you want to be kind of aggressive this game. You've got to, you got to take your Soul Lane or Guardian on your team. So you don't need to be full 100% tank, but you don't want to be getting one-shot either. So you go into your build, you get your Talaria boots so you can zoom all around that jungle since your speed buff got nerfed, and it's only giving you 5% movement speed. You move right into a Rune Forged Hammer this time because it gives you a ton of power, a little bit of health for your tankiness, and you're a Robin, and you've got a slow and a root in your kit, so you're really taking advantage of this passive proc chance. Right after that, you move into a Blackthorn Hammer because it's just so dang cheap and gives so many stats. You're just like, why wouldn't I get it at this point? So I gotta get me my Blackthorn Hammer. Plus, they've got a pretty even spread of damage, so you're not really sure if you want to build physical magical defenses yet. You go, all right, but now that I've got all my HP out of the way, I gotta get some defenses while being aggressive. So you get your Void Shield online, you get a little bit of HP, you get yourself a little bit of penetration, and you're doing a little bit better versus those physical characters. You move yourself right into an Ansile so you can dive their mages in the back line. They try to peel, they get silenced, they can't use any of their getaway abilities, and you're going to Pound Town in the back line. They're getting silenced from Ansile. All of a sudden, your Rune Forged Hammer's proccing. Nobody knows what to do on anything. You're going at them, and you get into that late stage of the game, and you got to get your Spirit Robe because you want a little bit more cooldown reduction. You want to be able to pop your 2 more often to be able to avoid that peel, and it gives you a little bit more physical and magical protections heading into the late stage of the game to make sure you have a cool, couple. You got to get your 100 protections online for everything. Plus, you get your passive mitigations on top of everything, and now you're doing so much damage, and you're so tanky, and the mages and the hunters and the backline hate you on their team because you're just diving them out of control with Robin. They don't stand a chance. I hope this video helped some of you guys. This was a very different build video, I would say, than something that we've normally done in the past. And I want to hear you guys' feedback on it. This is kind of what I'm looking to do in the future. I don't think that static builds are that helpful, and I think that it actually can put newer players in a bad spot where you go, okay, this is the build. But builds are so situational in Smite, so I want to try to give you the items that are good in ways that you can put those items together in different hypothetical situations so that you can get your mindset in the place of, okay, Incon said that, oh yeah, this item would kind of make sense here, and, well, I mean, the physical defense doesn't really work because they've got all this magical damage, so I want to try to make it a little bit more moldable to the situation that you were in, so you can try to be thinking of multiple situations where you might be able to use various items for these guys. So I hope you like it. I hope it was helpful. I know it was different, so if it was too weird, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to make it a little bit less weird. But I really want to emphasize how important it is to be able to mix up your builds on the flies depending on your team comp and their team comp and the role that you're fulfilling with this BRUISER build that is so popular. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, have a twitchin' day, y'all. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you like the channel, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell, guys, in order to get notifications for our uploads. If you want to go the extra mile to help support the Twitchiest community, you can always go to our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Incon and use your Twitch Prime sub there. It's a great way to help support the community. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a twitchin' day, y'all.